Sacramento, California, 1968. Have you ever dreamed something and then watched it come true? What if that dream wasn't a warning, but a curse? A curse planted by someone who wanted you gone. This story was sent to me by a woman I'll call Jessica Bailey. Names have been changed, even Jessica's, but the events are real. Jessica lived in Sacramento with her parents and her older brother John. John was 20 years old, tall, striking, handsome enough to be a model. But John carried one burden. He was mute. Since childhood, he and Jessica spoke in sign language. They understood each other better than anyone else ever could. John had very few friends, but he had Jessica, and he had Ben, his loyal companion since childhood. To John, the three of them were family. Then, in April of 1968, everything changed. A girl appeared in John's life. Her name was Lynn. At first, she seemed like a blessing, sweet, patient. She even learned sign language so she could talk to him. John was smitten. Jessica was relieved. Finally, her brother had found love, but John never told anyone about Lynn, not even Ben, his closest friend. For reasons Jessica never understood, John kept the relationship hidden. Perhaps he feared judgment, or perhaps Lynn herself wanted secrecy. Whatever the reason, the two of them met in secret. Nobody knew they were together. And Lynn was not what she appeared. Her father was a shaman, whispered about for his dark practices. And Lynn, his daughter, had inherited his gift, a gift that was not holy, not healing, but wicked. Jessica began to notice it, the wild swings of mood, the sudden rages, the way she demanded John chase after her, beg her forgiveness. John was naive, gentle. He obeyed. And then, the dreams began. John told Jessica that every time he closed his eyes, he saw the same nightmare. A woman in a torn white dress, her eyes burning, her hands clawing at his throat, choking the breath from his body. He woke trembling, shaking, cold as ice. Jessica tried to comfort him, but John signed to her, "It feels real, too real." Then came another dream. He saw their grandmother's death. A week later, their grandmother collapsed, exactly as he had seen. The doctors said it was a stroke, but Jessica, she remembered John told her about his dream of Grandma's death, and she began to fear. The more John saw Lynn, the weaker he became, tired, restless, haunted. When he tried to leave her, Lynn wept, begged, then lashed out. She told him, "I've given you everything. You can never leave me." John returned to her. But the dreams grew darker. This time, he saw himself, driving fast on the freeway, the car spinning out, shattered, broken, his own body, lifeless. John told Jessica about his dream. Jessica could not hold it, but ran to find her mother, Mrs. Bailey, and begged their mother to listen. But again, she dismissed it. "Just dreams," she said. 1 month later, on his 20th birthday, John's nightmare came true. After a heated argument with Lynn, he jumped into his car and drove away. Eyewitnesses said the car tore down the freeway at a blazing, uncontrollable speed, just as John had described to Jessica days earlier in his dream of death. Moments later, the crash came. By the time help arrived, he was gone. At the funeral, Ben stood by John's coffin, weeping for his brother. But Lynn, nowhere to be found. Later, when John's diary was recovered, Jessica found Lynn's number. She called. Lynn didn't even know John was dead, and when she found out, she showed no grief, only anger. She blamed John. Days later, Ben came to Jessica with news that stunned her. He had a new girlfriend. When he showed Jessica the picture, it was Lynn. Ben had no idea. He never knew John had been with her, because John had kept the relationship a secret from even his best friend. And Lynn, wicked as she was, never told Ben the truth either. So the two began dating in ignorance, both of them hiding pieces of the same puzzle. Only when Jessica revealed the truth did Ben realize who Lynn really was, and that the girl he thought he was falling for had once belonged to his closest friend. And when Lynn spoke of John, she twisted the truth. She called him cruel, promiscuous, harassing her. But Ben knew John, and the John he knew was nothing like the monster Lynn described. He confronted her, told her John had been his best friend, that every lie she spoke was poison. For the first time, Lynn was shaken. Months after John's death, Jessica found something she had missed, a second diary hidden at the back of his closet. In it, John described one final vision, not a dream, but something he had seen with his own eyes. Lynn in a darkened room, candles flickering black, symbols drawn across the floor, and from the shadows, faceless figures rose like soldiers, obeying her chant. But as John wrote, they did not obey her for long. They turned, and from that moment, his dreams became war. Jessica closed the diary with trembling hands. Only then did she understand. Lynn had not just haunted her brother, she had unleashed something older, darker, that consumed him. Jessica knew then. Every dream John had suffered was not a vision. It was an attack, a slow killing. Lynn, daughter of a wicked shaman, had bound him in black magic. She had drained him through nightmares until his death became reality. Even now, Jessica dreams of her brother. At first, they were warm dreams, dinners, laughter, memories they once shared. But the last time was different. John stood at a distance, his face heavy with sorrow. She ran to him, calling out, but the more she reached, the farther he drifted, until he was gone. 57 years have passed. Jessica has never seen him again. She wonders if her brother has moved on, or if Lynn's shadow still clings to him in the afterlife. This was episode 10, The Shaman's Daughter. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a like and subscribe to help our channel grow. Until next time, stay curious and take care.